to midnight, so we've got a little bit more time to play with, which is good enough for me. Follow me, please, because over here are three very well-known faces: Liz O'Kane, Brendan O'Connor, and George Hook, joining us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Brendan. Welcome. The champagne has arrived. Or should I say cheap sparkling wine?
No,
it's the
champagne.
time that we have to be careful about. How are you all three? Good? Happy?
Good. Happy. I feel a bit overdressed. I didn't realise you were wearing our Christmas jumpers.
Can you believe that? That was part of the contract. It's Christmas jumper night tonight on the show. But obviously you got the Christmas tie and you got a three-piece suit to make yourself look.
And I don't ever do bling, but this is my bling for this evening.
Oh, can we see that? It's
Obama. Come on, lads.
Well,
Isn't that the best news of 2008?
Well, it is for some and for others. Let's see. George Hook, you have this air of somebody who wasn't happy about 2008. Do you have any highs, or is it all lows?
No, I think I had a huge highlight, really, when I discovered the government wasn't going to use arithmetic. I mean, that was a major highlight for me. When the two Bryans came out halfway through the year, and they said the deficit was 1.5, and then which had 14-year-old economic students rolling around laughing. It said, we only have to multiply it by 2, and we get the answer at the end of the year. And everybody knew that that was wrong, except two lads. So two lads have got every sum wrong since they've taken over. It's an extraordinary example of where the education system has gone.
Did you fall into the whole idea of there was this kind of bizarre nostalgia for the 1980s in recent months, where people said it wasn't so bad, although one would have thought it was.
The shoulder pads were fabulous.
The shoulder pads are great, but the queues going out to the boats and planes were pretty crazy. How do you feel about that? Was it?
Well, the only thing that Taoiseach got right this year was when she said the recession wasn't going to be like the 1980s, and she's right. It's going to be like the 1930s. So, I mean, the 1980s, we're going to look back to the 1980s and say, what a great time it was. Wasn't it a wonderful time? Because these guys, when you don't have arithmetic, you're goose. You remember that in old Blackrock College, they taught you sums. Now, these guys haven't done sums. So if you don't do sums, it's very hard to work out the budget.
Brendan, the 80s, good times?
Ryan, I genuinely take exception to people having recession nostalgia.
Yeah.
Because I think that, there is a reality to this, which is that it's going to be fine for a lot of people, and then a lot of us are going to lose our jobs. Yeah. Obviously, you're not going to lose your job. We're out in the private sector. We could actually lose our jobs. But the thing about it is we have the church and we have Mary McAleese telling us that this recession is actually going to be good for us. Mary McAleese, sitting on $250,000 salary a year and a free house out in the Phoenix Park, is telling me, with my no certainty of a job, a salary a fraction of hers, and a $3,000 mortgage a month to live in a house that's a tenth the size of hers, that a recession is going to be good for my soul, that poverty is going to make us remember and reconnect with who we are. It's absolutely outrageous. And the church are at the same crack. And I think there's a lot of kind of people in broadcasting and everything else saying, we'd all lost the run of ourselves a bit there. We kind of deserve this in a way.
Liz,
that we'd become a bit too confident. But Ryan, we weren't all running around in Gucci knickers for the recession. It's just that a lot of people had jobs. Next year, a lot of people won't have jobs. That's not good for our souls.
But people have said, Liz, that old-fashioned manners are back. People are a bit more thoughtful. Maybe that's what they were getting at in those comments.
It's difficult not to concur with my two colleagues this evening. I was going to give them a present, but I'll leave it now till later.
Yes.
But it's difficult not to concur with them, but I do honestly believe that continuous bad news is good for nobody. Yes. And I think as a nation, thank you. Any good news that has been brought to us has been buried in the broadcast media as well as the newspaper media. It is buried and it is left to the last slot on the news. And we should be given encouragement and drive and confidence.
George, a friend of mine said recently he wasn't going to listen to a certain radio programme because that's his New Year's resolution, because it was too depressing in the morning before he went to work. Are you guys wallowing in the bad news? Are you enjoying it a little bit?
Well, just because the government isn't in touch with reality doesn't mean that somebody shouldn't be in touch with reality. Brian Cowan, up until, a month or two ago, was saying the fundamentals are sound, everything is fine. He took off on 4 months' holiday saying everything was grand. I mean, there's bad news out there. We kind of do need to be a little bit...
Let's remind ourselves...
Listen to me. Have you heard this before? Have you? Our economy is the envy of Europe. We are a low-tax economy. Our fundamentals are sound. That in the unlikely event of a recession, we will be ready and willing and together. Now, what's the result of that? If you haven't heard it, I'll send you an email to the igloo in the North Pole that you've obviously been living in for the last number of years. Now, what's the result of this? The result of this is they've buggered the health service, they've impoverished our pension schemes, and they have condemned our children to dole queues. Now, that's what they've done. And Liz here wants me to say, ho, 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 Happy New Year, it doesn't exist. There's enough people out there who are telling us it doesn't exist.
I'm not saying humbug at all, George. All I'm saying is that continuous bad news is not good for people.
But bad news is
How could you can't
This
get
is
out
all
of
getting a
bed
bit
in the
late,
morning if it's
isn't it?
continuous.
It's getting a bit...
But let's say, Ryan, on an up note,
It's getting a bit Jerry Springer by the looks of it.
On an up note, the fact of the matter is...
From Brendan O'Connor, stop all the
fact
clock.
of the matter is that they were all wrong about saying that the good times are going to go forever, right? So hopefully they're all wrong again this time. Like the same guys who were predicting an upturn. I think there's a man who's drunk in the front row. He's clapping for everybody.
Yeah, I know.
But look, fair play to you.
But the point is, there is all the misery. But I've just spoken to Katie Taylor, to Kenny Egan. I had Padraig Harrington here recently. There are times you have to stop as a nation and say, fair play, well done, let's stop whinging. Giving out bad news. And all.
It's New Year's Eve as well. Come on.
Maybe. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at it. We've got some highlights I want to show everyone at home and here in the audience. This is the year that was. And have a look at it and we'll pick up some points from that as we make our way towards midnight. Have a look at this.
This is amazing. Make art.
Never in all the time I served in public life have I ever put my personal interests ahead of the public good.
Time coming. But tonight, because of what we did on this day, in this election, at this defining moment, change has come to America.